Hello again, everybody. It's Harry Boxer, the Technical Trader at thetechtrader.com. It's Saturday, June the 22nd. This is the weekend webinar. Well, the markets keep marching ahead with new highs, but not across the board because the obviously transportation and the small cap stocks are not participating, and the actual participation of stocks above their 40-day moving average is only 1/3 of all stocks. I'll show you that in a minute. But for now, the S&P 500 chart looks like this. Recently, after bouncing off the 50-day moving average near 5190, market marched towards 5500 and topped at 5505, the high being on Thursday before the pullback. You can see that in a long-term chart ever since the excuse me. So ever since this last pullback in November, when we reached 4100, we're up 1400 points. That's about a 32-33% run up just in 8 months. That's in one of the more bigger rallies in Wall Street history, I would think, in a short period of time. But now, looking at the way the angle of ascent is telling me this rising channel is in play, there's a possibility we could still see. And I know that very few people are calling for this. But I'm saying that if the market doesn't come down hard in this range, it consolidates or marches higher. My initial target is up around 5650. And a possible and longer term target closer to 5800, 58 and a quarter. I don't know if we get that, of course. And initially, the pullback lows of 5400 is going to be, to me, the line in the sand. We don't want that taken out, ideally. So let's just see what the market wants to do. Secondary support is 5330 for me. I know a lot of other people talk about different numbers, but that's the way I look at things. The NASDAQ 100 also made a new all-time high at 19,977, just under 20,000, and backed off, as you can see, with some volume. Although Friday's heavy volume was, I think, due to quadruple options expiration. You can see the rising channel that this has been in. It's just since April, when it was under 17,000, that we went up to almost 20. So 3,000 point run up in 2 months. Pretty amazing move for the market. So are we overextended? I would say maybe. We're near the top of this channel, the intermediate channel, going back to October, November. So we have ample room to pull back down towards mid-channel, maybe even 19,700 points, and still not be a major break as far as I'm concerned. What's troubling is this. Transportation index is nowhere near a high. As a matter of fact, it did a 1, 2, 3, maybe even a 4, 5, but I'm calling this a 1, 2, 3. Matter of fact, the third may only be 1, 2, 3, 4. We could get a fifth wave down within the third wave. So there's a lot of room to drop further on the transportation index. And what you want to look for, can it break out over 15,345? It's about 230 points from here. If we get that kind of a move, then maybe we've broken back out of the downtrend. But for now, this is a negative divergence. And so is the IWM, which is a small cap index. Now that pattern does look like a head and shoulders, but it might just be one big consolidation. You can see the recent action shows a declining channel with a pop breakout, unable to hold it, and then a lower low. Until this gets over 202, 85, 88 up across here, we're still in a downtrend. It could test lower levels there, 194, even 191. So you can see that nowhere near a high, and neither is the transportation, while the NDX and S&P making new all-time highs. Not good, folks. Intermarket divergences, always a warning sign. The underlying technicals, well, because the advance has been narrow, the McClellan oscillator is showing a neutral reading of -33. Overboughts of 150, 180, 200, oversold similar. We got down to minus, this is the biggest reading we've seen in 2 months. We got down to minus 150 range and bounced to -33 right now. Kind of neutral, in mid-range. Nothing to glean from that. But the amount of stocks participating above the 40-day moving average is only 1 out of 3 stocks. And you can see how this deteriorated from 60% to as low as 27%. And it's just showing that the underpinnings of this market, the advance has been narrower and lacks participation, always a warning sign. in the larger scope of things, there's a large narrowing wedging type pattern, and we either roll over and plunge into extremely oversold territory or get a bounce up in this range first. We'll see. The VIX, nothing to glean from that, not much anyway. You can see it's still in a range now for the last month and a half. We're bouncing between 12 and 15. Obviously, this range down here is a range that was preceded a big decline back in 2019, 2020. But you can't anticipate that. Let's take a look at the major components of the NASDAQ 100, which lead the market. They're also major components of the S&P. Apple hits a new all-time high, blows out, and then has a falling wedge with huge volume. I don't think I've ever seen Apple trade 262 million shares in one day. Matter of fact, I think it's it's the highest level since 2020 when the market bottomed. So yeah, but you can see with that kind of a spike up, the pullback's only about a 0.375 fib retracement so far. On the other hand, look at Amazon pushing all-time highs, Google tagging new all-time highs, and Microsoft also right up against new all-time highs. So if you look at a longer-term scope of things for Microsoft, Google, Amazon, they're all phenomenal charts. And actually, most of them are just coming out of consolidation ranges, which could blow the market through the roof. But they could just as easily triple top in this area and fail at resistance. Other stocks of note, obviously generals, Netflix, same. You can see up against all-time highs. There's going to be resistance on that one. Meta, which has had a weak period but still in a rising channel. And of course, the monster of the midway, NVDA. Now, this had a really big reversal day on Friday and an engulfing one at that, and downside follow through breaking a channel. That's never a good thing, folks. Now I'm looking at the possibility that if the market continues lower, believe it or not, I have a target of 117. 117.18 is your next target on NVIDIA, unless it immediately bounces back and snaps back. We'll see. Tesla, very intriguing pattern. This left shoulder, head, and right shoulder, or V bottom with a couple gaps and a platform, broke out and packed off and wedged again. You can see the overall picture is a nice bottoming type pattern. I am also intrigued by TSLL, which is a tracking stock, and it's way cheaper. It moves 1.5 times what Tesla does in terms of percentages. So this one forming a wedge in here could be very intriguing since it's such a cheapie. Any move over, well, the target is 880 and then 975 if it goes. And the stop would be under 750. So the downside risk is minimal compared to where it could go. That's a quick look at some of the NASDAQ 100 generals. And now some of the major ETFs we follow. Semiconductors, because of NVIDIA's reversal, came down pretty hard Wednesday, Thursday, and is on support. The better support is the 21-day moving average and the trend line, which come in around the same place. So if there's more downside on SMH, we can find some support at 253.55. Financials, well, they tried to break out of a downtrend and it got above the moving average, but closed right on the 50. I'd have to call that neutral, but you have to be careful as well. Biotech had a good couple of days, Thursday, Friday. After testing the 50, you can see the XPI popped up, but it really needs to get to 95.5, and the LABU is similar to ETFs for biotechs. That gets above 123.4. We have a big move on LABU coming to 135.42 zone, maybe. Key support though, 97.8, 96.7, sorry. I like the V bottom with the platform though, very promising there. So those look better. FAS neutral, SMH bullish, but pulling back pretty hard here. There's no clear signs yet on this market going up or down from here. Not a hedge, just fact. Other gold and silver. Well, look at the GDX. After a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-way move, we had a mini pullback, and we closed just below the 50 and still in a declining channel. The NUGT Nugget and JNUG both look similar, both near support, and then having bounced back up against resistance. So I'm not clear. If we can break out of this pattern, we can get a much more decent move in the commodities, in the precious metal commodity. AGQ with a large 1, 2, 3, 4, in my opinion, may have a move to 48 and even 55, 56 coming, but it's going to depend on whether it can break to 42 with energy and then take out 48. Gas, well, Boyle, which was a successful swing for us from here to there, about 10 points, pulled back. Now you can see it's coiling, but it's down near support at the trend line, not far from the moving average. It's kind of an iffy situation. I'm not going to commit to whether I think this is bullish or bearish. KOLD, though, looks bearish in that it's come down in a 1, 2, 3, 4 with a wave 4 bear wedge. So this could extend even further and come down towards 30, 31, which means the Boyle might make a move back up towards 24, maybe even 28. So keep an eye on this one for a reversal with volume. So that covers oil and gas and gold and silver and the major ETFs. We have a lot of stocks to talk about, so let's get to it. ADMA is one of the better junior biotechs. It's been a phenomenal uptrend since November when it was trading at 3, and it's more than tripled to 11. And take a look at this chart. Even on Friday when the market was weaker, this was up another 3%. It looks to me like 12.5 and 13.75 are your targets going forward. Wonderful chart. AGIO pop broke out. We put a swing on it. It pulled back and then ran hard. Got up to 50, and then it's pulled back to test the moving average. Overall chart, a big base and a big breakout, and I have a target in the mid-50s and low 60s. AGX and a construction group, breakaway gap, beautiful flag, and then a rising pattern. Right now it's consolidating again. My next target, 83. ALAR software, breakout after a rising channel accelerated and now really took off. But bad day on Wednesday, tested support and bounced. If it fails here, it could be, you may want to think about exiting. It's stock, it's gone from $1.75 into the 40 range. You got to be awfully careful when you have built-in profits like that. AMRX, Amneal, another junior biotech drug manufacturer that's gone literally from $1.25 to 7 and change, for 5-fold increase, and it's holding support, targeting 8 and 9. ANF, one of the stronger retailers all year, in the last year has gone from 22.5 to 200, almost 190, 197, and it's flagging. So I don't know if it's done yet. Your extension target is 225. AXTS 1, 2, 3, 4, and the 5th wave started, but we pulled back the last few days, kind of on support here. Need that to hold $10 ideally. Actually, 9.5, 3/4 is support. But I never like when I see a stock move from 2.25 to 12 that quickly and then start to roll over. You got to be careful. In the gold sector, AU, one of my favorite golds, popped out on Friday, but it didn't hold the gains. Nevertheless, I'm looking for 26 and 29.30. BCRX, after a long downtrend, surged and platformed. On Friday, it traded big volume and it was up about 4%. Target 7, 7.75, and 9. BILI in the Chinese sector broke out, wedged, breakaway gap, strong run up, and another wedge. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and the 5th wave is well underway with a target of 20. BLBD, Bluebird, this automotive stock has literally gone from 7 to 60 some odd over the last year, almost year and 3/4. Recently it popped and broke out. It's platforming. The pullback on Friday has it right on support. Must be careful with that one, but if it does go 70 is a target, I would have a tight stop on it. Dutch Brothers, coming out of a long base. It appears it's at resistance here, though. You can get through here. You might see the stock move into the high 40s. BSX, Boston Scientific, fabulous chart. The stock has gone from 48 to 78. It is in a beautiful rising channel that doesn't look done yet. Target 82.83. Kava breaks out of a base, starts a rising channel, and has been in it since December. My target now is 110.12, and your support is about 84. CDE Core Mining, formerly Coeur, nice junior gold stock that looks fabulous. And this, with gold stocks having pulled back and retesting, this has just gone sideways and it's set up for more, I think. Eventual target 10.5, 11. CDNA inverse head and shoulder breakout and now a wedge. Like that look? 17, 21, 25, all potential. This one looks real good for a swing. Of course, with a tight stop, under 12.5. Colgate-Palmolive, what a blue chip this has been. October low 67, currently 97. Looking at the all-time pattern, it's been in one hell of a rising channel for the last 15 years. And the long-term chart now tells me long-term 120 is not out of the question. CLS, beautiful chart, has gone from 10 to 60, and it's consolidating nicely up in this level. With a double top in the 60 range, your next target is 68.9. Core broke out for 3 weeks ago and formed a little wedgie, and then popped again, now it's pulled back. Reversal day on Friday, perhaps. Next target is in the 80 range. CORZ, beautiful base, breakaway gap, and a run, and now the first pullback we've seen, important pullback since it broke out, but it may only be retesting a channel bottom. I have targets now retesting 11 and then 13. Coya had a big reversal day on Friday. I did not like the breakdown here and here, so it did break my support level on the swing. However, it looks like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave that's completed. I don't know yet, but this is one stock I believe in the long term. Short term, though, technically not as strong as I wanted to see. Credo broke out, ran up, stalled around 30, 29.5, 3/4 actually. If it gets through that, I'll look in the mid 30s. Crinetics, breakaway pop, tick traded swing in the high 20s, made it to the low 50s. Currently, retesting 55 and then 65 would be targets. Carvana, unbelievable move. How about 3 to 120? 3 to 129. That took a year and a half. Nevertheless, the current pattern shows resistance at 115. If you get through that, you can retest at 129 and maybe make it to 150. Dash, that's a short. DRS is a beautiful aerospace company with a beautiful chart. Nice day Friday up 128, 5%. My target, 28. DYN, beautiful rising channel, is breaking out after popping and coiling. It may have broken out on Friday, we'll see. Extension targets of 42 and 50. EBS, beautiful chart, nice base, breakaway gap, run up and wedge, pop, falling wedge to the moving averages, pop flag, and it's flagging in here. Looks like a 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth wave target, 9, 9.5. EGO, nice long-term chart, currently in a flag type consolidation. Resistance and target 16.5 and 19. Elon, breakaway gap, flag and pop, and another flag. Long-term pattern shows a massive reversal from a downtrend and a new rising channel. I think this looks like your new angle. And that puts my target at 22. ERJ, that's the South American aircraft manufacturer, breaks out of a base. Coil, pop, flag, 37 target. ETHE, with Bitcoin pulling back, this one's just holding, and apparently Ethereum is doing very well, much better than Bitcoin. Anyway, any move to 37, I would look for low to mid 40s, maybe high 40s to 50. E2, coil pop and then flag, but a falling flag type pattern. May have reversed on Friday. Keep an eye on it. If it does run, 5 and 5 3/4 are targets. In the silver sector, ESK is one of my favorite juniors along with AG. But EXK's got a much better chart. 1, 2, 3, 4. If this consolidation breaks out, you're looking at 5.5. Fluor, Engineering Construction Group, has been very strong of late. Look at this run up. Target mid-50s. FLS, inverse head and shoulder, and then a rising channel. Currently consolidating, retesting the trend line. Target 52. FRPT, Freeport. Frpt, breaks out of a base and a beautiful rising channel with a run flag, run flag, run flag. So it may have enough waves that it could be more vulnerable up here. However, should it break out, 150 is your target. First Solar was a nice little swing for us as it popped like 30 points, 25 points in 3 days and then pulled back. Dangerous pattern, folks, because this little, looking at the hourly chart, this might constitute a bear flag. See it? Do not let First Solar get under 252 in that area, 54. FTAI, a monster rising channel. Beautiful chart. Don't know where this is going, but my target's 100. Gato, a little junior silver stock. I like the overall look of it, and it's flagging. My target's 15. GERN popped and broke out. We put a swing on it, and then pulled back to test the gap, and bounced on Friday. Looking for a retest of 5.5 and then 6 3/4. GH broke a long downtrend, retested, and it's stair-stepped its way up in a 1, 2, 3, 4. Fifth wave takes me to 39.40. GILD with an explosive two-day pop on big drug news and then a pullback. I like it though for a move to extend to mid-70s and then 81. GLW, Corning breaking out and surging, targeting 43 and 47. General Motors in a rising channel and wedging in here, looking for a test at a mid-channel of 50 and then 56.7. GVA, another construction firm in a rising channel with a target of 70, looks pretty damn good here. Halozyme breaks out of a base, spikes to resistance, forms a wedge. Boy, does this look like it wants to go, doesn't it? My target, 59. Hood with a 1, 2, 3, 4 and a fifth wave underway, may extend. My target's at 26 and 30. Harrow broke out with a breakaway gap out of a base, and it's got a rising channel. Look at the breakout on Thursday. My target is 22.5 and 25. Heron Therapeutics breaks out of a long downtrend, a long one, and then is in a rising channel, but it's a quiet one. It's right back to test support here. Target is 4 and 5. IBRX breaking out Thursday and maybe follow through Friday. Nice junior biotech with targets at 10 and 12. IMMR broke out of a base and is in a rising channel. The extension target is 11 and 3/4 and 13. INSM with a monster breakaway gap and now a rising channel, very strong. I can see 80 and 95. KD with a breakaway gap and now a pullback in an orderly one in a beautiful rising channel. Looks like 29 and 32 might be targets. Lake, out of nowhere, this stock broke out and is now consolidating. Very thinly traded, but a beautiful long-term chart. You might see higher levels, $30 target. LSF, pop, falling wedge, pop, little flag, pop, and another one. It's at support, however. I want to see this thing go. 6, 7, and 8 are targets. 3M was a deck trader swing when it broke out. It ran up to target number 1 and pulled back its wedging or coiling. I like the look. 110.11, 118.20 are targets. NRIX, 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth wave's underway, target mid-20s. Novavax, breakaway gap and a big run up. This was a great swing for us and it met my target, tagging 23.85 and then pulling back is on support here. Retesting 22.5 and then 27 would be targets. NXL exploded, wedge, and popped again big time on Friday, up 110% on a mere 62 million shares. I think it might try to test 3 3/4 and then maybe go to 4.5 3/4. We'll see. OCUL, V bottom, right-handed extension, breakout, and a 2-day consolidation above the moving averages. If it gets above 660, I would look for 8. OM with a pop, pullback, and another pop, and Friday popped again, 21%. It's formed a big wedge. My target is 6. Oscr, a long-term swing from here, has moved nicely from 10 to the mid-20s and now pulled back. Right on support, Needs to hold right about here. Longer term target 26.7. Impinj has been a great swing for us from all the way back in October when it was in the high 50s. It tripled to 175 and now is in an orderly pullback near support. If this does go again, 185 and 225 could be targets. Palantir, nice pop to resistance, but a big pullback on Friday. Be careful with this one. But should it reverse and get back over 26.5, 28 and 31 are targets. RDW coming out of a base and then spiked and pulled back. But I think it's got legs to 7. REBN reborn with a breakaway gap coil and then a pop. May need some time to consolidate, but my next target is 11-12 zone. REFR, this low price stock in a beautiful rising channel, has formed a wedge in here. It's got to break to the upside. Don't anticipate. You get over 205, 250, 3 and 3 1/4 are targets. REVG, beautiful rising pattern, pulling back a little bit here, but the extension target for me is 30 and 32.5. RNA tech trader swing since it broke out has been accelerating and flagging. I got a target of 50. SE looking very good and still looking higher with targets at 85 and 93. Seed 1, 2, 3, 4. This is a personal position of mine. I'm accumulating it for a longer term play, but I think an intermediate play you're looking at 6.5 and 9. SG sweet greens with a breakaway gap, consolidate, breakaway gap, consolidate. It might have one more leg to go, and if it does, we're looking at 40 or better. SGHT V-bottomed in November, it's exploded, coiled, popped, and it's got a little mini pennant in here. I like it for a move to 8 3/4. SMR pop wedge, rising channel, up near resistance, but should it get through here, low teens. Sharknado, what a move after the IPO took a dip to 29 3/4 and ripped over 80, target 90. SRTS based, wedged, popped, and it's got a falling little wedge here in wave 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Fifth wave, 7.5 3/4. STNG, Scorpio Tankers, beautiful long-term chart. Current rising channel says it might get into the 90s. Teva breaks out of a base, runs up, pulls back and tests, runs up again and consolidates, targeting 18 and 19. Uber, long-term chart impeccable. Short-term, we got to get through this double top. If it does get through 73.4, I would look for 80 or better. Vico, long-term rising pattern. Extension could be in the $50 range. Vital Farms breaks out and runs. Boy, this one looks good. Now I'm looking for 50 or better. BRRM in a rising channel with a target around 30. WGS in a rising channel as well. Accelerating, extending. My target is in the 33-35 range. Wheat and precious metals in the silver sector. Large purveyor on support. We need it to hold. Targets are then 58 and 62. Little Wulf breaks out and runs and breaks through key resistance. It may be on the way to higher levels. I'm looking for 6 and 7. Zeta, after breaking out and running, that was a good swing for us. It's now wedging. Watch for this to hold and go again. 18 and 20 are targets. Now some shorts so we can complete today's webinar. AKAM in a distinct downtrend. It looks lower to me. My projections are in the low 80s. AMN did bounce on Friday. You got option expirations day, but it's in a nasty looking pattern. If it doesn't break, you may want to cover, but now my target's 45. AMWD, head and shoulder top rollover, bounced on Friday off support, but my next targets are 70 and 65. BRCE also bounced Friday off the bottom of the channel and we're near the target zone, so you may see some upside movement, but eventually $30 target. Dash breaks down, wedges, and then forms a large bear flag. If it breaks to the downside, I would look for 100 and then 85. Disney also firmed up a little on Friday like many did, but this one has a negative looking pattern to it, quite frankly. And I'm thinking, even if it does bounce to eventual targets are 97 and 88. Fox Factory also bounced big time and it may have broken out. You got to be careful with this one, but I would cover only if it gets over 53. Downside target would be a retest of 39.40. GitLab and key support, and at the bottom of the channel with a 1, 2, 3, we may get a bounce, but eventually, if this thing should crack 42, it would be in big trouble. INFA, tech trader swing short, broke down, bear wedge, and then flag and flag. I'm still looking for lower levels in the mid-20s. INMD in the long-term downtrend, bear flag broke. The cover would be over 20. The targets are 16.75 and 14. Jabal circuits with a massive head and shoulder type top and coming down near the neckline. If it breaks, I'm looking at 190. MDB broke hard and it may bounce in here because it's oversold and it's already reached my objective from the 380 range down to 275. RH broke last week hard. It's on secondary support, but you can see if it breaks this pattern, you may see 150-60 range. SIG, I think, is about to collapse. We'll see. It came down hard and bounced. It came down again on Friday, losing 244. We break here. We're probably headed to 75. SMTC broke down. It's got a wedge. If this one breaks down below 27.5, I would look for 24 and 22. And finally, Yelp, been in a long-term downtrend. We've been short since the 40 range. It got down into the mid-30s. My target's 33 and 31. And that's it for this weekend. Complete look at the indices, the technicals, the NASDAQ generals, the exchange traded funds that we follow closely, a list of long and then some shorts. So please review these a couple times and get prepared for next week. We're going to need it. Could be a volatile week. For now, HB out. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.